Our A+ question today has to do with polynomial long division. We're going to go ahead and divide 2x to the fourth plus 8x cubed plus x squared plus 12x plus 3 divided by x squared plus 4x minus 1. And we're basically going to set this up just like we would any kind of long division. So we're going to write out our numerator and our denominator. And then for step 1, we're going to ask ourselves how many times does x squared go into 2x to the fourth, or we could also ask it as what times x squared would give us 2x to the fourth. That's going to be 2x squared, so we're going to make sure we write that in the correct column of our x squared column. And then we're going to multiply that 2x squared by our entire divisor. 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the fourth. 2x squared times 4x is 8x cubed, and 2x squared times -1 is -2x squared. And we're going to subtract the product that we just wrote. And so we're going to subtract this one, and then of course subtracting a negative would change it to adding a positive. So what we're left with is 2x to the fourth minus 2x to the fourth is 0, 8x cubed minus 8x cubed is 0, and x squared plus 2x squared is 3x squared. Now we need to go ahead and bring down our next two terms. Now we're going to go ahead and go back to our divisor. X squared is going to go into 3x squared how many times? Or we could ask what times x squared gives us 3x squared, and that's going to be 3. And I'm writing that in the correct column. Now I'm going to take that 3, multiply it by our entire divisor. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 4x is 12x. And 3 times -1 is -3. I'm going to, again, subtract this product. So it's going to be subtract the 3x squared, subtract the 12x, and since it's subtract a -3, it's like adding 3. And now I can do 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0, 12x minus 12x is 0, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So we have a remainder here, and that remainder can be written as a fraction. So we can put 6 over our divisor, x squared plus 4x minus 1. And so now we have 3 pieces to our quotient. We have 2x squared plus 3 plus 6 over x squared plus 4x minus 1. Now what we find here is that x squared plus 4x minus 1 is not actually a factor of this other polynomial because our remainder isn't 0. So instead, just for fun, let's look at a very similar problem with one thing being different. And that is, at the very end here, I have changed my -3 to a +3. And we'll go ahead and go through the same process. And I'll do this a little bit faster. So I've written out my long division. And the first step is to ask how many times x squared goes into 2x to the fourth. And then I'm going to multiply that back to my divisor. And then again, I'm going to subtract just like we did before. And I'm going to bring down the next 2 terms. Now I'm going to ask how many times does x squared go into 3x squared, and that is 3 times, and I'm going to complete the long division process. Now notice when I'm subtracting, I will be subtracting 3x squared, subtracting 12x, and then subtracting a -3, which is the same as adding a 3. And when I do this, I get a remainder of 0. So in this particular question, when we have a -3 at the end, our answer is indeed a factor, 2x squared plus 3. And from that, you know that 2x squared plus 3 is a factor of this polynomial. You also know that this quadratic x squared plus 4x minus 1 is also a factor of this polynomial. And there you go.